Everybody has a different style of bonding with their partners emotionally, which is known as the attachment style. In the last episode of Meaningful Relationships, we looked at the 4 attachment styles with Sanchita, and today we have her back to share some actionable tips to help people move towards a secure attachment style. Hi Sanchita.
Hi Priyanka.
Thank you for being back on Mindful Relationships.
My pleasure.
Sanchita, let's dive in. Let's talk about attachment styles. If you talk about anxious attachment style, so this is the first attachment style that we're going to talk about. What are some of the signs that you can see in an anxious person, in a person with anxious attachment style?
Okay, so some of the common signs that you can see with someone who has anxious attachment styles are they have this intense fear of abandonment and rejection. Like this fear is like so strong, and usually you can see it coming out in like relationships, like through insecurities or through self-doubts, or it can even lead to unhealthy fights. Apart from this, it's also that they crave this closeness very intensely and they're not comfortable in enjoying activities or doing things alone. They always want their partner to be involved. At the same time, because they have this low sense of self-worth, it becomes even hard for them to find themselves worthy of like a relationship. And sometimes all these insecurities, they lead to like trust issues that they have towards the partners. There's this constant need of validation and reassurance that they sort of expect from their partner. These are some of the common signs that you can see. Yeah.
And Sanchita, do you have some actionable ways for us? Like how does that person deal with this attachment style?
Absolutely. Like this is not like a fixed thing that I always have to deal with this attachment and I can't move towards secure. So I think one way is that self-regulation. So whenever your fear of abandonment or rejection is sort of triggered and you're in that situation, a lot of emotions, they arise. Mostly it's like fear. So if you know how to regulate yourself, regulate your emotions and that moment, it can sort of help you calm down and see the situation from a very rational and mindful way. So some ways that you can self-regulate yourself is either like you can do some grounding technique. There are a lot of techniques available for like anxiety. Apart from that, you can even distract yourself. So just watching like a Netflix, TV series or just like going on a walk just to like sort of distract yourself from that situation so that your emotions from a peak, they sort of come to like a neutral ground. That can be helpful. Or even like reaching out to like someone from your family or your friends just to sort of talk about the situation, because they can give you like a rational point that you are not able to see. So that's one. Another could be like how you sort of seek for validation and reassurance from your partner or others. You can give that reassurance to your own self. So I think that's like something that is very important, that you can go ahead, ask for validation, have that need, but also we have to keep in mind the ways in which we want that need to be fulfilled. Like you can opt for healthy ways to get that need fulfilled. You don't have to opt for unhealthy behaviors or like through attention seeking behaviors or maybe like fights. There are healthy ways to get your needs met, and you can even like self-assure yourself. And I think a partner who is like with someone who has anxious attachment style, I feel if they are able to sort of validate their partner, reassure their partner, I think that would be really helpful for them. And one thing that is important is someone who is suffering from anxious attachment style, it's important for them that the other person, whatever they say, they follow through it. So if suppose the partner is saying that, yes, I will do this and I'll follow through it, that sort of helps the person calm down and feel a little secure. These are few ways in which they can like deal with this attachment style.
I really like the point where you said you can like self-assure yourself. I think it takes the pressure off your partner, and then they don't feel pressurized to validate you all the time.
Absolutely. And it's not possible for someone to validate you all the time. Sometimes just telling yourself that, no, this is a situation that I can handle. This is something that I got it under control and I can handle it in a better way. I think just like saying those statements to yourself, I think it can work.
I think it will also improve the quality of your relationship.
Absolutely, because then you're not relying on the other partner completely for your needs to get met. Like obviously, like everyone has some sort of needs that they want, but at least that pressure of just expecting your partner to fulfill those emotional needs
to
can
be there
taxing.
for you all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Talking about partners, Sanchita, do you think a person can have a different attachment style with a different partner and they can like have secure or maybe anxious, like a different attachment style if they are in a different relationship?
So one myth is there that, you know, your anxious attachment style is very rigid, but it's actually very complex. So for example, if I am with someone who's providing me that safe and secure environment where I can be vulnerable, so your secure attachment traits will tend to come out more than when I'm in a situation or I'm in a relationship where my fear of abandonment and rejection is keep getting triggered. So there my anxious traits might come up more in the surface level than any other attachment style traits. And even in case of avoidant, like when I feel that the partner is taking too much space and you know they just want to have this very codependent relationship, so there's a possibility that your avoidant traits might come to the surface level. So yeah,
let's move on to avoidant attachment style now. What are some signs for avoidant attachment style?
One major sign is that they fear intimacy. They are not very comfortable, like they want closeness, but then they are not very comfortable with the idea to have like a close bond and connection. Apart from this, they don't know how to like communicate in a healthy way. They don't know how to resolve conflicts. They usually avoid conflicts because they are not attuned with their own emotional needs. And whenever the partner wants to talk about their feelings or anything of that sort, like their first response is like sort of to run away from that situation. And they really want, you know, they want to be independent all the time, and they're not ready to be vulnerable with their partner.
So in some situations where they know like seeking their partner's help would benefit them, they still wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it happens because they're scared to ask for help. Asking for help for them, like it does not come very naturally to them because they feel that they have to be all independent and they need to manage everything on their own. So it's like that.
Is it the fear that their partner is going to think that they're not emotionally strong? That's why they're coming for help?
That also, and also they have like trust issues.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's very tough for them to be vulnerable in front of someone and actually go and ask for help, because all their life they have managed all their situations like in a very independent way, like all alone.
And how do you think they can like move towards a secure relationship?
I think one thing that is very important is, since they're so emotionally dismissive, one way to go about is first identifying and naming your own feelings.
Yeah.
Because I feel that once you sort of attune to your own emotional needs, your feelings, you can create space for your partner and their feelings.
Yeah.
So one way in which like you can sort of, you know, identify what you're feeling is like there's a feeling wheel sort of. So you can refer to that. There are videos, books that can sort of help you with that.
Yeah.
And also if you feel that you require that professional help, definitely like there is therapy as well. And I think from the partner's perspective, if you see that, you know, your partner who has difficulty identifying their emotions and feelings, maybe you can even like sort of support them and tell that, okay, look, I think you are frustrated right now. You don't mean what you're saying. Would you like to like sort of take a break right now? And even when the other person is trying to put efforts, like someone who has avoidant attachment and they're trying to put efforts, go ahead, validate them, because it's not easy for them to sort of open up. And another thing with avoidant attachment is they run away from conflicts. So second would be resolve conflicts in a healthy manner. It is difficult. Definitely sometimes they just want to take space and they are like, I don't want to deal with it. So communicate that I am not ready to address this conflict right now. How about we do it after so and so, maybe like a day's time, like giving that, not leaving it open-ended that I don't want to talk about it, just like give a time to it. This also reassures your partner. And then definitely there's a technique, it's called Deerman Technique. It was given by the psychologist Marsha Linen. So whenever you're facing a conflict, this is a technique that you can sort of use. D stands for like describe what the problem is. You just basically state the facts without bringing your past or without blaming the other person. E stands for express what you're feeling. It's very important that, you know, we get caught up in like the entire situation and you tend to blame others, but there, if you're just expressing that, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I feel hurt, so it sort of like adds to that a layer of like what your problem is. Then A stands for like being assertive. When you're in a conflict, you know, there's a possibility that you might just shut down or you might get aggressive, but it's important that you just be assertive without taking any aggressive medium. And R stands for like reinforce exactly what you said, like if this is what you need, reinforcing that this is what I need. Then M stands for mindful. So a lot of times when you'll actually try to resolve the conflict, the other party might blame you and they might say things, and that might distract you from the exact problem, and that might distract you from the technique that you're practicing of Deer. So it's very important that you stay mindful. A stands for act confident. It's very important that, you know, you are maintaining that eye contact and say whatever you have to, like from your heart. And N stands for negotiation. Like a lot of times it's very easy to just say that, you know, this is what I want and this is how I want it to be. But sometimes considering other person's needs, like just meet the person midway. If we can do this, and we can keep in mind that this is what you want. So I think that's another way. And another way is, I think, empathy. Sometimes like it's very difficult for avoidant attachment to sort of understand what the other person is feeling or the other partner is feeling, but just to like see it from their perspective or their shoes might help you tone down your emotions, and you know, you can see the situation like from their end. These are some of the ways they can deal with it.
I think as a partner, somebody who's with a person with avoidant attachment style, it's very important to be non-judgmental. If they know you're not being judgmental, I think it'll be easier for them to open up to you.
Absolutely. Like if you recognize that it's very difficult for them to be vulnerable, it's not that they want to run away from the situation. They are trying. Like this is something that they have learned from their childhood. They have just like sort of learned to be independent and not be in touch with their emotional needs. But just acknowledging that they're actually trying to put in the effort can do wonders.
Yeah, so let's talk about disorganized attachment style now. What are the signs?
So I think signs are again like how I spoke about anxious and avoidant. Usually they switch, like it depends on what kind of situation they're in. Maybe when things get extremely tough or when there's a huge conflict, their avoidance side might come out. But then, you know, where they are in a situation where they see, oh, they might lose the partner, or they might see that, okay, you know, this partner is not giving me attention. Maybe their anxious side might come out. So that's how it works.
And is it different for different people? Like some people are more avoidant and anxious, some are more anxious and avoidant. So is it like a spectrum?
It can be, like, it basically depends on what kind of relationship you have with the partner and what sort of triggers are coming up more. If my fear of abandonment and rejection is getting more triggered, then that is more likely to come. Or if you're in a situation where you're not getting space to like breathe and your partner always wants to spend time with you, then the avoidant side might come out more.
It also depends on the partner. And what are some ways they can move towards a healthy, secure relationship?
So like I had mentioned, the tips for anxious and avoidant, I think one main important part for them is to identify what their trigger points are. Like in what situations are they moving towards avoidant and what situations they're moving towards anxious. That's very important, and based on that, like the tips I mentioned earlier, you can go ahead with it. So like the goal is that like everyone has needs. What's important is that you move towards like a healthy way to get your needs met, like from insecure part to secure part. And eventually like you want to be in a space wherein you are okay with being vulnerable, but at the same time you take accountability when your partner is ready to be vulnerable. You enjoy spending time with them, you enjoy that bond, intimate bond that you have with them, but at the same time you're okay being independent. I feel that rather than switching from anxious or avoidant, or rather than being just anxious or avoidant, it's important that there's a balance to it than falling in these extremes.
Do you have any closing notes?
I feel that attachment styles, they are not something that you can't deal with. We all are not perfect. Like how relationships takes efforts, even these attachment style to work on your patterns, to work on your triggers, they require efforts. It's not like a one-day task where you put one-day effort and that's it. Everything will magically disappear. It doesn't work like that. It's a constant work in progress. Like I'd mentioned last time, healthy relationships are built. They are not created.
Thank you, Sanchita, for sharing all the insights and the inputs. I'm sure people will listen to you and they will acknowledge, they will know about their attachment styles, and it will help them to move towards a more mindful relationship. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you found something helpful, please like and share this video and subscribe to Verona for more such content. Verona, matchmaking reimagined.